do you think that this what we call organic reality is really just like another virtual reality
Like a
for
holographic reality, some sort of experience, almost
yeah,
like putting on the 3D
the
like Oculus
Oculus,
Prime.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the odds of it being something like that are pretty darn high. That doesn't exit our ability to experience this world in a real, tangible, physical way. And
Well,
for it
Absolutely.
just
to,
the
and for
reason I
it
bring
to
that up,
actually exist again.
yeah, the reason I bring that up is because there is the whole like everything is fake crew on Twitter, and like I like that as a jumping off point to like be skeptical of everything because
Mhm.
obviously like it's way better to go with everything is fake because then that
It's
gives
catchy.
you not only that but it gives you
Mm.
a launching point of taking what others what I guess agreed upon
Yeah.
reality, right? And and you're
Hmm.
allowed to start breaking that down.
Yeah.
Like you're allowed if you think that everything is fake, even if you really know that maybe not everything is fake, it gives you a point from which you can deconstruct what other people or what society deems as
Yeah.
acceptable
It's a
reality.
shorthand.
The
It's
hard,
a shorthand for
But
like what
hard,
we mean.
hard,
Yeah.
but
hard overcorrection.
to take it to the next level, like what do you think is real? Like what is real?
Okay. So I do think that our existence here is physically, tangibly real. Real. Like this
But if
desk
we're
is real,
just
the sand is real. I think we're experiencing something that has been created for us to be as real can be in every way, shape, or form we've ever measured reality. However, I think that that very realness on this level, this sub level, can exist inside of a structure that renders that whole thing obsolete in a sense that it's like something much different than reality as we've ever been able to measure it, if that makes sense. Like a matrix, like we are existing maybe as like a computer game inside or like a holographic reality. I don't know. I feel like this is real. I feel like this is real. I feel like
Right.
I'm having a real existence,
it's funny that you
but
say that
that
because I
could be a
feel like
video game.
well, I feel like when you say I feel like this is real, my worldview would say that emotions are really the only thing that's real. Like even what we consider our physical reality, like tangible reality, like I think that's more of a hologram. And
Mm. Emotions color our world. Yeah, absolutely. That's why they
Interesting.
say you see red. Oh, back to colors. You see red when you're angry.
Hmm.
You're blue when you're sad. You're
it's
green with
ultimately
envy.
it's ultimately our only choice too.
Mellow
Like
yellow. Yeah.
like when you talk about the physical reality, it's like everything is cause and effect in the physical world. But like where does the mystery come into play? I feel like it's how we respond. Like
Oh yeah, and that's back to ownership. Like we are ultimately how we react to everything. Like
yeah,
that's the only thing that we can control.
like
That's
you
the
might
only
not be
thing.
able to control your destiny, but you can control how you feel about your destiny.
And you can control every single waking moment. And that's why I think we're in a video game,
Right.
because I do believe that every single thought, word, feeling, behavior, action, basically everything we do, think, type, express, everything we do internally. I'm not talking about like accidentally breathing in a toxin or something. I'm talking about things we do, choices we make are part of this like a video game structure, and we get points for doing things that are true and positive. And I think
Hmm.
and I think true is not in the bounds of morality. I think that there's just ways X, Y. I think there's ways that we should be acting. There's ways that we shouldn't be acting. And our society is set up to where we're always making the wrong decision, but thinking it's the right one. We're always going after the wrong thing, thinking it's noble. We're always chasing money or chasing girls or whatever. Like
Hmm.
I think or chasing drugs, alcohol. I think there's a lot of things that we run after, or just material things. I feel like they call it the rat race because we're always chasing after stuff.
Right.
um but
Which
I
is,
think and we're like lab rats. So it's
yeah.
like, oh, it kind of goes together there. But I don't know. I just think it kind of goes back to the idea of just, yeah, like, what is real? What is real? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it. This is real. This experience that I'm having, that I'm interacting in, I'm qualifying this as real for me. Knowing, I mean, like just every religion that has a concept of like there being a heaven outside of here, and this world is just a realm, and then the heavenly sky that we can't experience, or hell that we can't experience, like those exist outside the whatever. Like I'm kind of in that idea where like my reality could exist in a place where once I'm no longer in here, it no longer exists. Like it's no longer, I don't know. It's, oh gosh, I don't have a vocabulary for it, but I feel
words
it. But I
distorted,
feel,
but
yeah.
And it's a
feel it,
paradox.
right?
It is a
It
paradox.
really is.
It is.
It really, going back to what you were saying about the moon. I mean, we see it, and it's hard for us to wrap our heads around how something that everyone can see, you know, at the same time could be considered not real. But there's just so many things that lead you to believe that it is, even though we can
how
see
they
it.
explain it is just so wacky, like all the explanations. And that's why I think that I don't believe in, okay, again, to everything is fake, quote unquote. And I like to put that in quotes because I really, I like to put everything in quote templates and quotes. I'm big on quotation marks. But like everything is fake in quotes. I think that it's significant because like it's real. It's all real, but it's been fabricated. It's false. And so that in that way it is fake, like space, I think that everything we have ever been taught and told about space is fabricated. Absolutely. That doesn't necessarily mean space is fake.
Right.
That doesn't mean space doesn't exist. But what I do suggest is what we have been represented as space is fake. That is not real. I do not believe that the representation of what we are told is space and out there and outside of this realm and endless vast. I just don't think that is what's going on. I think that it's all just a story. Same thing with dinosaurs and most of history. I think that's all a story.
Do you think it's all fabricated, or do you think there's a lot of half truths to make it even more confusing?
Bingo. Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, I think truth is always in it, baked in. Kind of the adage, or like the saying that like they always tell us the truth. And I think they do. I think that they find ways to bake the truth like hiding in plain sight at all times. Where when you have fresh eyes, everything is new again. Like with fresh eyes, you can look at old stuff and be like, oh my gosh, how did I not see that before? It's really, you kind of just need an update on the programming in your brain, and then you're able to see it. Like I don't think a lot of this is our fault. I think that we're programmed. I think we're brainwashed to specifically not be able to comprehend the world around us in an accurate way. I think that's
a good point, though.
Yeah.
Because when you have the truth, for example, when you have the truth and the truth is kept away by any means and all means necessary, think how can you blame yourself or wonder why there's so much depression and confusion across the world and these different things that people deal with, when it could be as simple as just understanding them, their origin, understanding not to confuse that with history, because you can still understand your being, your blood type, because I do believe in blood typing for certain diets and genetics to curve things. You can still understand those things, and
blood
not
is important.
what's important versus the necessary potentially fabricated history that is there to keep you in the same loop, in a sense, mentally, psychologically, because that's the new war, right? The new war is psychological, and the new gold is data. I mean, these two things can be true. So
100%.
You're gonna have to cut this. You're gonna have to cut this part out. I've got to get my charger. I do not know why I didn't bring my charger. I'm sorry. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back.
There was one point I wanted to finish about when we were talking about the paradox, and you were saying this is real. It's like it seems like when you look back on things, it was all destined, but then you have this moment and you have choices in this moment. And so it's like this moment I feel like, for me, the way I see it And I think other people may see it in different ways, but it's really just variations of the way I see it. And that's, we can choose to enjoy this moment knowing that it might all be fixed, or we can be like, oh, like it's all, it's all fixed, like, and like be pissed off that we don't have as much choice as we want, as our ego wants, but we still have that choice to enjoy the ride, and
yeah,
like
the reaction to the
and
action.
even that paradox is like, once you choose to start enjoying it, you actually change the destiny too. Like you actually change what seems to be fixed by choosing to enjoy it instead of resist it. So it's like another paradox.
And it's like a video game too, where we are every single move we make is giving us a plus point or a minus point.
We're already in a social credit system.
So I know it's kind of like a big universal
social credit system.
That's so interesting too. And it kind of like, sometimes they tell us about this new technology that already is like theoretically in existence. Like, they always tell us about the surveillance state, but we literally have a camera and a microphone in our pocket at all times. Y'all, like they're already like the surveillance state already exists. It's so silly. Or like gosh, that goes back to like the truth being always kind of in our faces, but it's packaged in a way that we just can't quite.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be layered with something cool. Lupe fiasco, and G know that we're a little upset at Lupe right now, but we'll talk about that.
What Lupe do?
But Lupe has some interesting political views that just really surprised me, and I didn't understand where he was coming from with this. Is the same man that made Food and Liquor, and one of my favorite albums of all time from him, Lasers. But one of the things, and the cool is one of my favorite albums by him. And that the concept of the cool is layering these things as cool, because when they're cool, they can be more digestible, easily accepted. It's the cool. And it's the same way with all of this stuff, slapping on the phone, slapping on the new device, introduce the humans to the robots by making them fly around as vacuum cleaners. Like, this is so cool. And people don't even realize what this is softly opening you up to accepting in the future. It's
these
interesting when you see it all happening around you, all happening and evolving around you.
I like the slow rollout of technology. I think that that's an important part of this discussion, because I think that if the world is as I see it, and we are just, everything already exists, I think that like all of these technological advances, like your Facebooks or your iPhones, they're all developed by these extraordinary characters, these wondrous characters that are kind of untouchable characters in their own right, totally away from the public, and like Zuckerberg and, Apple, everybody, Steve Jobs, all that stuff, everybody's kind of on this other level. And I think that I have a whole theory on characters of that size. I think that they don't really exist in the way, talking about reality, they're actual characters. They don't really have like a person behind them. They have a series of actors and series of technologies to create the existence in show only, but like it's just like on paper, like a straw man character. That's like a legal term for, or like a legal person versus a natural person. Anyway.
Yeah, these entities need faces. I know what you mean. Yeah. Like even Tesla.
But you're right.
It's kind of like,
I think that, and all these, like Elon Musk is so cool. Back to what you're saying about Lupe Fiasco with being like, if you make it cool, like Elon Musk kind of made space cool again. You know what I mean? Because space was kind of getting uncool. Nobody cared about space. I mean, they really tried to make it cool. Like every kid gets a, space from the moment all cartoons are space, but we were kind of over it. So I think that like we needed a new character. And Elon Musk, he's Mr. Joe Cool. He's dating an alien, or they just broke up, him and what's her face.
Literally though.
they had an alien child together, I think that he's cool. But I also believe he's a character. He's just here to serve the purpose of us taking on all of these technologies. And also electric cars, ultimately, it's a noble idea. Theoretically, if you're like really on the sub level of thinking, but like we should have limitless energy. It exists. We should have it. Like we shouldn't be having conversations about petroleum. We shouldn't be having conversations about wind energy. We shouldn't be having conversations about solar energy. we should be having conversations about tapping into the energy grid that exists all around us at all times, the aether. Like we should be talking
Kinetic.
about that.
Yeah, kinetic
Energy. And I've always wondered, like, I remember when going back to childhood, you have these ideas. I was like, why don't we harness the vibration, or like, why don't we have magnets on our car so we repel and we don't actually collide? I remember thinking like opposite magnets on every vehicle, so there's no collisions. But then operationally, with all the metal, like that's going to cause a havoc real quick. But in your brain as a kid, you're thinking these things that they're not based in logic. They're just based in these like concepts that you're learning. And so in a way you're more free, but also like even the rumble of our vehicles on the road, that's a lot of energy. Where's that energy go? We're not capturing, like we're not using, and rubber, is like the least, like we could be like, what if we had different material on the tires that like actually powered the car from, but instead we have an energy stopper. Like rubber is like an energy stoppage. It's kind of interesting. It's like, why aren't we the kinetic energy that we're doing on the tasks? Why can't we harness energy out of that? And also just like the magic energy. Like if you stick a wire 30 feet into the sky, if you get past a certain elevation, you can tap into the energy in the sky. There's energy up there. Why aren't we using that? Like why aren't we?
I feel like a lot of the towers that are
and
I know Murph talks about that, but
I know that was one of my favorite things.
Oh, even the monument in DC. I mean, when you really look at when you really
churches,
look at
the steeples
with the steeples, that's. And then the people on the inside with your little, that it's like, but again, like, the steeple isn't the most important part of the church. I think ultimately energy, I think it's like getting like our energy in there is what they're really like harnessing in these buildings. They want us to gather in these places. They want us to focus our energy. They want us to, I sometimes wonder if singing is like a way for all of our energy to go up and out, and like they always say, I think singing's beautiful, but also like, what if the things that we're given are also used against us? What if the things that we think are, I don't know, like language, I think is beautiful. I love language. I love to write. I love to read. I love to talk. I love language. I love talking. But what if language is the worst thing? What if language is like the worst? And like, if we didn't have words, what if we could just tap into each other with telepathy? And we don't do that because language, and it's like, I don't know. I wonder.
Right. And it exists. So it's clearly these powers that we speak of. I mean, this isn't stuff that's just made up. This is stuff that certain very special and unique people can do. Of course, absolutely. And censored as they say.
But I'm with you, HV. I love language, and I don't see. I used to think like, what if it is the worst thing? But I don't see it that way anymore, because I kind of relate it to technology, where it's like you can build war machines, or you can build music speakers and like peace machines essentially. And language is really like the first technology. I feel like it was one of the premier technologies,
and it can be a weapon. Speaking of war,
well, I mean, that's exactly what the word magic talks about, and it's exactly what the Toltecs talk about.
Words
being
are
impeccable
swords
with your word.
Impeccable with your word.
If you're using your word to spread love, you can create a beautiful reality. But if you're using your word to destroy others, who at the end of the day are nothing but reflections of you, then you're destroying yourself.
Your own reality, your own version of your video game. You keep losing points, and your world keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. You keep going down levels, but you don't realize it. You
don't even realize, and there's so much of that out here, and there's so many things. There's so many things that are that bring that out of people. I mean, social media is a great thing, but look at how it's used by so many people, and what it can do. This is what I love about these platforms. What I mean, like what we use and how we talk and how we share information, because these sorts of topics are parsed through, and they're dove into at a deeper level, and you get to really ask these questions and feel them out together, because nobody has all the answers, with all the wonderful and amazing information that you put out there. None of us have all the answers, at all, not even close to it. And it's always good to come together and talk about these things. One